one niche that I did see there was, so a lot of these farms on the West Coast, they buy and sell from each other, right? So they'll grow their own products, but they'll also sell other people's products, so they have more of a in-depth inventory, right, that they can ship. And everybody claims that they're growing everything, but the reality is they're all buying and selling from each other and selling it, and So when you're selling products to these other farms, I did realize that there was really only one company that was, handling these farm-to-farm transactions. And there was very limited space, man. So it was like, it limited the amount of sales you could do in a day. And so at that time, I had brought the idea to my superiors at the company, and that company is huge, man. They've been in business like 100 years, and one of the original farms out in Cali. And I said, hey, why aren't we running our own truck? I mean, if I can fill it, can I run our own truck, kind of thing, up and down the coast? And they said, yeah. So they kind of let me run that project a little bit, and it was working. So I'll kind of fast forward a little bit.
Yeah.
So that was going good.
And when you say run our own truck, what are you saying? Like, what does that mean?
Their company truck, where we're delivering directly to the farms or customers,
Okay.
right? So instead of handing it off to this other carrier,
Got it.
we're just like, why are we doing this, man?
Makes
we can
sense.
just
Save-
run our
save
own
the
truck.
money, you run your own
and we
truck.
can sell more. I mean, basically I had to commit to the fact that I could fill the truck, right, kind of thing, with those sales team. So I felt confident in that, and I proved that it could work. And
What's up, y'all? It's Ramel from Truck and Hustle, and I am super excited to announce that we are finally launching our Truck and Hustle Entrepreneurs Community. This is a place where entrepreneurs just like you can connect, collaborate, partner, and win together. Everybody's been asking me for years, man. They say, Ramel, you have such a crazy network. All these people who have been on the platform. You need to create something where everybody can come together and work together. And that's what we've done here with the Truck and Hustle Entrepreneurs Community, man. You'll see people from Truck and Hustle along with other business people that you see out there in the world moving and shaking. You guys can collaborate, network together, and win together. Go to the description right now and sign up for our first inaugural event. It's called Contracts and Cash Flow. This event is going to set the tone for your business in 2025. I know we're almost in the second quarter, so we got to hurry up, man. We got to get things moving. So let's make it happen. Click, join the community, and let's go. See you guys in a couple weeks.
it was working. So there was a little bit of change in the president of the company, which was the son of the founder, kind of was stepping in and taking the reins at that time. And with that transition, I want to make sure I say this the right way. But,
Yeah. Take your time.
He came at me like he thought I was going to be doing some competitive thing with him. So long story short is, I had helped them build a bouquet program with my father's business, right, where they're putting together bouquets and then we're shipping it out to Arizona for some of the smaller supermarket chains out there. And, my father had called me up and he said, hey, why don't you get a quote from Penske for a box truck out there? Because he was thinking about running his own truck back and forth to Arizona. And he's like, maybe you'll get kind of a good old boy deal, being a resident from there or whatever, he's just pricing it out, he's just shopping it out. So I did. And, the rep that I was talking to at Penske happened to be the Milano rep, which is where I was working, and friends with the owner's son. And I don't know, he was trying to get brownie points or something, but he calls him up and he's like, hey, just so you know, man, you got this employee there who's calling me up asking for quotes, and put this kind of bug in his ear like I was trying to create something behind his back, when in reality it was all about pushing everything through them,
Right.
And my dad was just gonna run a truck, his own truck kind of thing, but still buy all the flowers from them. They're not in the trucking business, aside from that little route that I started,
Right.
So I went and had my youngest child, and the day that I came back, there's a couple of days off or whatever. The day that I came back, they brought me in and said they had to let me go. And so, and due to this conversation that I had with Penske, and I was like, what? I was like, do I even have a chance to, they were like, no, blah, blah, blah. So, there's some conspiracy theories that I have, but it's, we don't have to get into all that as to why that took place. But so long story short is we were living on the farm in their property. I shared a mailbox with the owner of this place. I got nowhere to go. I'm literally living in this barn house. I got my family there now. Now I got, 3 small kids, my wife that just had her infant son, no job. We're in California living on this farm with the farm workers, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I got nowhere to go. I got, so.
And this farm is owned by the people who just now fired you.
Yeah. So I was committed, man. And that's why I was so taken back by it. That's what I'm saying. There's some other conspiracy theories behind it, but whatever. Yeah. But by law, they had to give me 60 days, right? And I had to use it, even though it was awkward as hell. But I didn't have nowhere to go. I didn't have nothing to do. So, you start getting, what do they say? Intuition is the mother of invention, or what do they say?
Something like that.
You know what I'm talking about. But, when
about.
you start getting desperate, you start getting creative, right? So obviously the first thing that I had thought about was that route that I started for them. I remembered that there was, I knew that there was kind of a niche there, where there was lack, I guess, of service there for people.
Yeah. Because
Milano was just one farm of several. And so that's kind of where I got the idea. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go rent a box truck, and I'm gonna go solicit, around to these farms, and basically say I can do this. And I had met Ricardo. Ricardo was the top salesman at Milano, and he was my partner who's passed away. But we had become good friends when I was working there, and so basically I kind of did the Jerry Maguire thing a little bit, like, who's coming with me, man? I don't know if I can say it on the podcast, but and so and that's when you really know the cloth that people are cut by, because Ricardo was doing well at that time. He didn't have to leave, he was making 6 figures selling flowers. He had been there for 20 years. He didn't have to go through that stress and that change.
What'd you tell him to convince him to leave?
What I just said, what do you want to work for these guys for? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And like I said, we were friends.
It's
like, look at, and
did you have those type of, like, was that what you that's what you wanted anyway, right? You wanted to eventually have your own thing.
No, dude. No? I was committed, man. I was gonna be a lifer at Milano. I mean, I was thinking to build up my, my client base and and do sales. That's what I'm saying. I was totally
got it.
Like, hit from left field when they let me go.
Got it. Well, the reason I asked, because your ambitions with your dad was to kind of take the reins of the company. Yeah. But when you went to Milano, it was like, I'll fall in line. I just want to grow here.
Yeah, and quite honestly, I was still like, hypnotized by being in California. You know what I'm saying? Right. It's like, oh, we're out here. We're on the West. We did it, because. We used to vacation out there and always talk about how cool it'd be to live there and, all that kind of stuff. So I was still we were just excited to be there and kind of doing our own thing, Okay. And it was providing at the time. But, looking back now, it's like, man, you think about it, like, how the hell did we make it? That, going off what we were making. But, so anyways.
So you and Ricardo get together, you had this grand idea.
Yep. And right. We say, and, so that's how that started for the most part, man. So I had 60 days to find a house and start producing some income. So we started working out of the public library. Back then it was like you could buy Wi-Fi for an hour, work off the internet, send faxes and stuff like that.
Damn, you old, man.
I know. I know it. I started to see some of this gray come up in your man. I'm like, I'm not sure. But, I guess nowadays you kind of rock it, right?
That's
you
right, just rock it. That's the season.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Silver fox.
But that's why I'm wearing the hat, because if you see what's going on back here, like,
oh, man.
But, so we started working out of the public library and rented a box truck, right? And we came from sales. Right, so we knew enough to know it's about relationships, and it's about and we had already had good relationships with a lot of these people, and it's like basically going up there asking for a favor at that point, like, hey, this is what we're doing. We're not trying to compete. we're just trying to provide more service for you, right? So we did take a road trip and up the coast of California, and went and visited all these people and knocked on the doors. This is what we're thinking about doing, and we got a handful of commitments at that point, right? Like, hey, yeah, you guys do it. We'll throw you a bone. We'll support you. Blah blah blah. So when we came back, that's when we got the box truck, and yeah, man. I mean, we just kind of started from there, and it was it's funny because Milano, and I should be clear, Milano and I are good, and they actually use my service and my trucks now, and I look at that whole stage as a huge learning experience, and we're all good. So, anyways,
that's good.
I guess I gotta put that disclaimer out there.
Right.
So, but we had to go pick up at their place. Right, I mean, because they're shipping flowers, so it's like here we are, So the first few times was kind of like,
contentious.
Chip's out on the dock, yeah, exactly. Like you ain't supposed to be back over here, It's like, sorry, I got the pass, baby. I'm here picking up for the other guys. So because the clients dictate where the freight goes, not the shipper, right? So as long as you were, the customer was saying, no, we're using Floral Trade. They have to put it on there. They can't fight that. You know what I'm saying? So we're always dealing with on the receiving end as far as where our solicitation is, right?
Okay.
So, anyways, we started doing that route, man, and it was basically just picking up, and we would drive from San Diego through Oxnard, Carpinteria, which is kind of like the flower belt. At one time, it's now kind of switched over to cannabis and all that stuff, but a lot of flowers pumping out of that area up there, and a lot of Dutch growers and stuff. And then upwards into like Pismo Beach, Santa Maria area, right? So if you were to drive it in a car, like a straight line, you get there in about 6 hours. But, we were in this box truck, just one of us, right? One of us was kind of like at the, trying to
do sales
and stuff, while the other one was trying to. And
so you guys alternate.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so when we would go up there, we'd have some stops along the way, and then we would have to pick stuff up on the way back down. And everything in that scheme of things is, shipped in buckets, which is a whole nother aspect of the deal, because we're loading like these 5-gallon buckets, kind of like a Home Depot size bucket, right? That's full of water. Because this stuff is coming straight from the farm, right? So they cut these flowers off. They throw it in these 5-gallon buckets of water, and we're floor loading these buckets in a box truck, right? And actually, what we did was we put empty pallets. We would line the box truck with empty pallets and put like 2x8s and create a shelf, right, where we like shelve out the back of the box truck, so we could get 2 levels. Well, then weight started becoming an issue because we're in a Class C. 26,000 pounds. Those trucks weigh about 20,000. You got about 6,000 pounds to work with. And we didn't know any of that shit, man.
You're non-CDL at this point, right? No,
we're Class C, dude. We're flower salesmen, bro. We're not truckers by any means, man. We're just trying to figure it out.
Okay.
So what we had to start doing was dumping water. Every bucket, we're dumping water out, then loading it, and the manual labor was just intense, especially we were by ourselves, just loading these trucks. And then not to mention, to make that loop, by the time we got back down, I mean, we were running 18 hours, 20 hours, a run, right? And again, we're not running logs, dude. I mean, we're Class C guys just driving a Penske rental box truck,
Right. And
we were super ambitious about doing it 5 days a week, right? Because we're going to provide the best service that people have ever seen, and this and that. And it was burning the can at both ends for sure. And so that's actually, I have this tat on my hand, man. It's 24-hour muchacho, because when Rick passed, I got that, and that's because that's what we used to call ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Like, until you have done a 24-hour run, don't talk to her, you know what I'm saying? So we, it was just kind of like some of the banter, that we would use for ourselves to motivate ourselves, So it got to a point though where, we needed some help, and the trucks were running full and stuff like that, and we were able to get a small little warehouse space where we could start consolidating a little bit, and hired a couple guys to kind of do receiving and help load the trucks and do all that kind of stuff. So that's really kind of how, the birth of it, as far as, where it started.
All right, y'all, listen, I'm happy to announce that we finally launched our YouTube memberships. Listen, if you want to support Truck and Hustle for all the hard work that we've been doing over the past 5 years, this is where you need to be. As a part of our memberships, number one, you'll get exclusive access to all of our archive content. Number two, we'll be doing at least one live webinar with one of the guests or somebody else from our network that you love to continue to add value to you and your business. Third, we'll be having exclusive behind the scenes content that we shoot and doesn't, make the final cut. So make sure you go check it out. Get that subscription right now and join us, man. TNH forever. Let's go. All right, guys, if you love Truck and Hustle and you love the interviews and the information that we're providing week to week, make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. All right, Hustle fam.